In Charlotte this morning, a deep sense of loss following one of the worst attacks on law enforcement in recent memory.
Headquarters, we got shots fired.
A shootout taking the lives of 4 law enforcement officers and leaving 4 others wounded. Overnight, Charlotte-Mecklenburg's police chief announcing one of his own officers, Joshua Iyer, died as a result of that attack, leaving behind a wife and 3-year-old son.
We'll always be indebted to Officer Iyer for his bravery and his sacrifice for this profession.
Police say the shooting erupted outside of his home, captured in chilling detail on a live stream. Members of the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force attempting to serve a warrant on a convicted felon wanted for firearms possession quickly found themselves taking on heavy gunfire.
Officers returned gunfire and struck the victim, who was later pronounced deceased in the front yard of the residence.
The chief says a second person then fired on the officers from inside the home.
Target down. Additional shots from inside the house.
Video taken by a neighbor shows law enforcement, including SWAT teams, descending on the scene as residents looked on in shock.
I heard like gunshots, and then that's when the police were telling everybody to stay in their house.
After a 3-hour standoff, police cleared the home, finding a woman and a 17-year-old inside.
They were both brought to the police station as persons of interest.
Authorities say the other victims include a deputy with the U.S. Marshals and 2 members of the state's Department of Correction, identified overnight as Sam Peloche and Alden Elliott, both 14-year veterans of the department.
We lost some heroes that are out to just simply trying to keep our community safe.
Charlotte's mayor fighting back tears.
And the most that I can ask of our community is that we honor and respect them.
As far as what we know, guys, about the suspect, police say he had a high-powered rifle, but they have not specified what kind. President Biden weighing in overnight saying we have to do more to protect our law enforcement community. And, quote, leaders in Congress need to step up so that we ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, require safe storage of guns, and pass universal background checks and a national red flag law. Enough, he says, is enough.
They can't wait to make this political in order for them to continue to leapfrog off of it so that they can get y'all votes. But this isn't even about politics right now. This is more about the fact that the culture says that we shouldn't support our police officers. And you don't see this really plastered across the news. If somebody steps on somebody's neck or if a police officer arrests somebody the wrong way, then you're going to see that on the front line of the news. But you won't have any conversation. You won't see any of your leaders holding accountable. And it's so funny, and I say this all the time, and we kind of reviewed this on a Millionaire Morning Show a little bit more extensively, but I'm going to just share my thoughts with y'all really quickly. It's ironic how we know how, who, what, when, where is happening in our communities. We already know. We know who the jack boys are. We know who the dope dealers are. We know who the killers are. We know who the molesters are. We know all of these things, and so we always requiring somebody to come to our rescue, but we never have any accountability for the people that's in our community that we already know is existing and creating the worst circumstances that then would leave police officers dead. And we don't talk about this. We have no conversations about what the real solutions are and how to clean it up because we know who the perpetrators are. And we have no conversations about making sure that we hold up in prayer and show appreciation to the people that's truly on the front lines of keeping us safe every day. Because every single day, these people go out and they put their lives on the line, and they got families and they got children. And often at times, they're also raised in the very communities that they serve. And we then separate them from us because of the uniform that they wear. But then we call on them whenever we're under duress, or they're the first line of response when we having issues and problems in our communities. Over in Chicago, it's a police officer that fell, and their family literally said that they didn't want J.B. Pritzker, who was the governor of Illinois, and Brandon Johnson, who's the mayor of Chicago. They did not want them coming to the funeral because the culture is so messed up in which we embrace the criminals, and we always on some free this person, free that person, but we never actually support the people that's at the front lines of our freedom and keeping our neighborhoods safe, or at the very least attempting to, but then they're legislated out of the process, which is one of the reasons why you see all of our communities and all of these liberal cities under fire every single day. And when I say under fire, I mean under fire. Illinois passed a Safety Act. The Safety Act basically was an opportunity for them to continue to keep people on the street that probably should have been locked up. This guy right here, they're saying that he was due to be in court, or I'm sorry, that's the other officer that died over in Chicago over the weekend. And that officer actually died in the same spot that the woman officer died on. And he wasn't even on duty. He was on his way home from work. And they still haven't caught him as of the recording of this video. And they know who he is. 22-year-old, same, fit the description. But we want to still have these conversations about not holding ourselves accountable, systematic racism, and blaming it on everybody else but our parents and ourselves. It's sickening. And every single day, I sit here and I come across articles where people are doing the worst for the community. Y'all don't hold them accountable. But the minute that the police get involved, and if you think he roughed that person up a little too much, it's a lawsuit waiting to happen. So law enforcement officers largely have now divested themselves from even participating in your freedom because you've handcuffed them and you said that you wanted to defund the police. Imagine a resource officer going over to solve for some of the problems that we see happening in our community and getting themselves offed or messed up because it's not truly a domestic dispute and you can't go by what people say on the phone. You got to go based off of the resources and the history of what's happening in that particular environment in that community. But we're against the thing that's best for us and we're for the thing that's the worst for us. And then we expect for our communities to be different when all across America, from the Bay Area to San Francisco to San Diego, we got criminals walking around. We got homelessness running rampant, and we got migrants coming into this country, and we continue to fall under duress every single day to Chicago, all the way down to different parts of Broward County, and we see it happening in Houston. They going broke, and that we see people. I seen a video the other day where they saying that the crime is getting worse all the way up to New York. It's just bad all across the country. It's horrible all across the country, and we don't support our officers. We don't hold our legislators accountable, but maybe that's just because the legislators are a reflection of the people that voted for them. And we got a low turnout rate in our local elections because we don't even really care who the people that directly affect our lives, but then we'll want to complain about what's happening on a day-to-day basis. I bet you that Kendrick Lamar verse that just dropped, or that song Euphoria, I bet you that's going to get a lot of play today. I bet you people are going to be more concerned and more informed and know every word of that diss and him and Drake than they are going to know about what's happening within their own communities and their legislators. Don't even know who their aldermen or their city council people are. Culture is messed up. It's destroyed, it's messed up. And I feel very, very bad for the police officers and, the people whose families are affected by all of these crimes. And a lot of it can be prevented. A lot of it can be prevented. Imagine that you are, for the ladies, you are the wife of a police officer whose life could possibly be taken at any moment just from a simple traffic stop or serving a warrant just like this. And then imagine Biden and your legislators and Kamala Harris, using this as an opportunity to get more votes. Sickening. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. I'm curious as to what y'all think. Make sure y'all tap inside of the Patreon. Link is in the description. I'll be reading comments shortly.